I'm John Batchelor. Mary Kissel's here, so this is Australia. Mary's keen on Australia. She visited several times when she was at the Asia Wall Street Journal in Hong Kong. She has many good friends there. She writes often. And watching Australia is a treat through Mary's eyes. And tonight, we're going to go immediately to the climate controversy over Julia Gillard and imposing a carbon tax on the people after telling her population she would not. However, we start with Christmas Island, 1,600 miles from the coastline of Australia. It is in Australian possession. I knew nothing about this until Mary shows up and says, John, there's a prison riot on Christmas Island. And indeed there is. What are the issues here, Mary?
Yeah, we shouldn't be laughing about this. This is Australia's virtual penal colony.
This is Australia's Australia.
Yeah.
Right.
There are a lot of people who want to go to Australia because it's just like the United States. It's a big continental democracy. There are lots of jobs. Well, wait, maybe it's not just like the United States.
Yeah, lots of jobs. Really friendly people.
And so they try to come in, but the Australians don't have the kind of immigration policies that even the United States does. They don't take as many people as we do every year, and there are a lot of people coming by boat who want to get there, and if they don't want them, they put them on this island.
Christmas Island. It's about 135 square kilometers, I learn, and it's 1,600 miles from Australia and 5 million miles from everywhere else. And there's been a riot for several days. The novice detention guards are being evacuated. There's been rioting. They've been firing beanbag bullets and tear gas. This sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it's really serious. It's all over their national news.
No, really, covering. All right, fine. I can't go to a correspondent in Christmas Island because I have limitations. My imagination comes up short, but I promise I'll work on this. We go immediately to the mainland, Mary, because when we last left Julia Gillard, she had surprised the nation with her carbon tax declaration. And we discussed it last week that she was looking to transfer the what you'd have to call revenue coming from the carbon tax imposed on the big manufacturers and resource makers, the miners. She was going to transfer into the hands of 2/3 of the Australian people. And the question a week ago is, were they going to buy this obvious plum? Were they going to take it? We know what you're up to. You're imposing a command economy, and we get a tip. Did they buy it?
No, they are not buying it at all. In fact, I was just looking at some of the polls before I came to the station tonight, and the coalition. Now, these are the conservatives, the opposition. That are not in power. They polled 49.9% to Labor's 50.1% on Election Day last year. So really close election. Now we get to today, post-carbon tax, and the opposition, Liberal Party, the opposition, not in power, poll 58%.
58?
58 to Labor's 42.
That's what happens.
It's just, they just get creamed.
Fickle people.
Amazing. And the Prime Minister herself, dissatisfaction has gone from 49% at the end of April to 59%. Within
disapproving of Julia Gillard.
Yeah, within what, 2.5 months? That's amazing.
And this is for the assertion she's going to have a carbon tax. Nothing's actually happened yet.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Now, what's wrong with the carbon tax? Why does everybody reject it?
Well, first of all, a carbon tax is basically socialism in another form. It's taxing companies, government takes that income, it redistributes it out. Government says, hey, don't worry about this. Really, we're going to give it to all the people who are affected, but there's no way that they can know that. Number two, on the environmental side, if you believe in global warming, you're assuming that you do. I understand.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't need to go into all of those arguments. But really, Australians don't buy this because Australia produces 1.5% of the world's global emissions. And, by the way, I found out that part of this program requires companies to buy foreign permits to, quote-unquote, emit. So what does that mean in plain English? That means that this government wants their own energy companies to pay to take coal out of their own ground. They want to pay foreigners to let them do that, to give them permission. It's craziness.
Julia Gillard knows that Kevin Rudd crashed and burned, the previous prime minister, when he tried to impose a cap-and-trade tax. And she's aware that that was so unpopular, she became the leading minister in her party.
That's right.
Now she's doing this, and she says, and I read from the Wall Street Journal editorial, These are very deeply held convictions. How to interpret this? Is she not rational? Is she not a politician?
Well, she is a politician. I think what's so surprising about this is that she was billed when she ran for office as being the ultimate Labor Party politician. She grew up in the Labor Party. She was a union lawyer.
Red Julia.
Red Julia.
Yes.
Right. And so to see her take such an unpopular stance, be unable to explain it and rationalize it, and to fall so far down in the public's esteem so quickly is truly an extraordinary sight to see.
Is Kevin Rudd in the background smiling?
He is in the background, but nobody in the Labor Party likes him. He's not going to be.
So he is going to be joined quickly by Red Julia in the background. Nobody liking her.
He may be.
Either?
Look, if they called an election today, you'd have Prime Minister Tony Abbott.
Julia Gillard is the Prime Minister of Australia, and she right now is dominated by the Christmas Island story. That's the presenting issue for the people of Australia. But after that, they come to the carbon tax. A carbon tax, by the way, that looks very much like the tax that was proposed once upon a time by a Nobel Prize winner. That would be Al Gore. Mary Kissel of the Wall Street Journal editorial page. Thank you, Mary. I'm John Batchelor, on his way to Christmas Island. This is The John Batchelor Show.